welcome in. We're going game 1, Tusky versus Oxygen here in our friendly neighborhood deathmatch tournament. We've got Sicilians here for Tusky. Going to be Vikings for Oxygen. Makes a lot of sense, I think, for this particular map on Mudflow. This is all hybrid terrain, so you don't necessarily need to go water, but I think it probably makes some sense to at least mix in some water. We'll see. Sicilians are okay on water. Nice delaying of the initial castle here from Tusky, forcing some idle time on the villagers inside the TC. Does lose the scout, and scout is lost on the opposite side as well. So it's going to be infantry for the Vikings, right? Maybe they can go Arbalest eventually, depending on how the game state goes. But I think, although against Sicilians as well, right? Sicilians kind of the infantry counter, although I don't see like Sergeants versus Vikings champion very often, I suppose. Berserkers also in the mix, as Cavalier are the first thing being flooded from Tusky. Also Donjons being set up behind. I think Sergeants do probably make a lot of sense against Vikings. Lots of castles though. Berserkers versus Sergeants. Not sure I've ever seen those two units actually fight each other. My experience is Sergeants tend to beat everything, but maybe Berserkers can actually do something here. They're pretty much unplayable in standard games, so I'm hoping Berserkers can actually do something here. For now, lots of Cavalier. Also, a sneaky corner base being set up here from Oxygen. Okay. We've got Rams chugging along through the middle. There are docks being set up here and having to be deleted already from Tusky as demos are getting caught up in the trees. Villagers being sent forward, going down. Demos are out. Okay, this is why I think playing water at least a bit is probably a good idea. It's some pretty good booms to start off this engagement. And oh, the demo's having trouble actually getting in there. For that group at least. Cavalier massing up top. TC's being added for Oxygen and from Tusky. Demos. Actually, I guess it takes 3 demos to take out the Siege Ram, so maybe not worth. Cavalier doing quite well against the Berserkers. They're doing okay against the champions too, I suppose. Tusky is circling around with Cavalier, but for now is not engaging anywhere, though these guys might find some value. Lots of Berserkers. Lots of Berserkers. Monk converts one of the Cavalier, okay. Turns out those Cavalier got 0 value. These guys are circling in, delaying some farms. Res is still fine for everybody. And here comes the sneaky ram push from Oxygen. He's got champions inside the rams, and he's got berserkers in the front. Could do quite a bit of damage, right? Tusky's sending everything forward. Already making light cav. Sicilian light cav. Interesting. I guess there are monks out. Feels like Sicilian light cav are going to be so bad against everything else being made, but maybe it's worthwhile. Donjons at the top. This is the thing with Sicilians, right? They don't need to send their eco forward to tower rush. Vikings for no water but sneak sides. Yeah, it is true. Yeah, there's not been a single dock from Oxygen. All right, Rams are coming in. TCs are definitely going down. There's some Cavalier here, some Sergeants coming out from the production buildings. It's mostly light cav, though. 1 TC goes down, 2 TCs will go down. But I think that, well, there's still a lot of Berserkers here, I suppose. Oxygen is losing eco in the back, trying to clear up the donjons and clear up the forward at the same time. So I actually like this from Oxygen right now. Rams. Okay, the dungeons are not long for this world. More demos being queued up from Tusky. The Berserkers do okay against the Sergeants there, I suppose. More Rams in Tusky's base. It's going to be another dead TC. Also sniping trebuchets as they come out of the castles with Berserkers is really nice. Getting a little sketchy here for Tusky. Eco going down to the Berserkers. There are castles around. Really needs to actually clear this up, I think. There's lots of TCs everywhere here for Tusky, though. So I like the expansion, at least. The map control is good. Eco is progressing nicely for both. More TCs in the south for Oxygen, so this is becoming a true base. Man, just the light cav. I mean, you need mobility, right? Maybe the idea is, like, infantry is better gold spent than Cavalier. So then that just leaves you with light cav, but I don't know, man. More TCs going down. Still just TCs so far. No castles lost for Tusky. Trebs are at the front as well. That looks like one castle already down. This is going to be a second castle down for Oxygen, as quite a few trebuchets are out here, and Oxygen has nothing at home, right? Everything is coming out of this base. There's so many Rams. Castle is going to, I think, be saved for now, but surely not from all these. But the trebuchets continue on here, right? All the military for Oxygen is coming out of the south, so there's really nothing here to stop this push at all. It's a bit of a base trade. Rams are carving through the housing from Tusky, who's actually housed. Gets a castle up to alleviate that somewhat. The difference here is Tusky is sending reinforcements here, right? To actually clear up this push. Oxygen seems to just not care. There seems to be zero concern about all of these trebuchets sitting in Oxygen's base right now. Arbalests starting to come in for Oxygen. That's... I mean, it's full Sergeant here, right? So what else can you really do against the Sergeants other than range as the Vikings? I don't know. Rams carving through more TCs. But things are still dying. Still no castles have gone down at home, though the eco is a mess. I suppose his eco's all in the middle for Tusky. Sergeant versus Berserker. The champions are not going to do well here against the Sergeants, I'm pretty sure. It's just not enough, right? Trebuchets continue working away. TCs are going down. Production buildings are going down. We've got an Onager here to snipe a couple Trebs maybe before it goes down. But I think I'm liking Tusky's positioning quite a bit more, unless these Arbalests can really get some work done. Because the push from Oxygen has been completely stopped, at least for the time being. Trebs are sniped by the Berserkers. Well, maybe Oxygen can hold on, actually. More dungeons up top, being very annoying. Yeah, I like the spread of the eco for Tusky as well, right? There's eco in a lot of different places. Whereas Oxygen kind of has eco up here, losing a lot of vills to that dungeon. And then I guess you could call this an eco down here. Tusky is finally figuring out that all this stuff is down here. I mean, probably knew anyway, but hadn't scouted it until just now. More Rams. Rams on Rams on Rams for Oxygen. I mean, they did a lot of damage, right? But it feels like whenever there's a straight-up fight, it just goes badly for the Vikings here. Tusky very unabashedly taking stone right underneath this castle from Oxygen. Maybe not the best idea. Oxygen has a ton of gold. Tusky's okay with a lot of different res. Where are we? Relics have kind of been taken by Oxygen. Tusky should maybe start to think about that, especially because the gold is not super hot long term there. Okay, Trebs are starting to hit the field again. The eco, though, I mean, the total pop, rather, for Tusky is not ideal, right? Doesn't even have 200 population room, let alone population on the field. This is expensive, though. 8,000 gold for Oxygen, but you still don't want to lose all of these rams for free if you can help it. A castle being attempted here for Oxygen underneath these Trebs. Probably needs to run in and snipe them first, and it looks like that's the idea. There's not very much here for Tusky. So those Trebs are going to go down. That's also quite expensive. There is still gold on the map, though. Castle down here for Oxygen, trying to just secure the boundaries of the base. Dungeons can't deny a castle, confirmed. Okay, military is getting up top for Tusky now. Decided, I guess. It's tough, right? Lots of different angles to do damage here, or try to do damage / defend from. So it's tough to find the right balance top to bottom for both players. If you overcommit to one side, it's not going to be good for your other side. Still finding value down here is Tusky, though, with relatively small amounts of military. Eco is looking better for Tusky as well. Just raw villager-wise. Total population has sunk rather far for Oxygen. Who's winning? I think still Tusky. The map control is so much better for Tusky, right? Oxygen is 2k RM. So what is this number that Capture Age has auto-filled for me? Is this actually his, like, deathmatch elo? I don't really know how elo works for deathmatch. Really need some protection for these Trebs, man, on both sides. So many Trebs have died to, like, 3 infantry units up top here. Alright. Cavalier coming back in a bit for Tusky. These numbers, it's not going to happen, though. Heavy Scorpion, Berserkers, and Champions. Pretty good composition, really. Big fight up top as well. The Donjons are providing a fair bit of damage here. There's just a lot of Donjons, right? So infantry dying for Oxygen. He did snipe some Trebs. That's their DM elo. Okay, good to know. But castle going down for Oxygen, and the eco, sorry, is starting to catch up to Oxygen. It feels like, right? Down to only heavy air quotes 3,600 gold. Still does have the only 2 relics captured so far in this game, but it feels like there's just not... I mean, 65 villagers is not enough, right? It's simply not enough, I don't think. Castle's going down. We've got one more push left in us if we're Oxygen, it feels like, but... Nice job by Tusky, sniping some reinforcements down here from the south. A fight is still being put up in the base, but for how long, I don't know. We've got 9 on wood. Alright, this is the final charge for Oxygen. We're pop capped at 150. 54 villagers. This castle needs one singular tap, and down it goes. DC goes down. I mean, a lot's going down. The Scorpions are caught out by the Cavalier, though. That's a nice snipe. The main base from Oxygen is just getting ransacked. Decent amounts of military here for Oxygen. But how long can we replace this military, right, is kind of the issue. Rams continue to put in work, though. Looked good for Oxygen for a while, but Vikings are so bad. Yeah. I mean, neither player went water, right? Very much. It was like some demos for Tusky to take early sort of advantage. Oxygen, I don't think, made a single dock the entire game with the Vikings, which seems a little like not playing to their strengths, maybe. Obviously, you can't win the game with water, but, I mean, you could have stopped a lot of stuff here from Tusky if you had water control. Still, the main base from Tusky is gone. The Ram push has completely cleared everything back here. Tusky is also losing a lot of eco. I mean, the eco balance is non-existent for Oxygen, so I struggle to think there's any chance to actually come back in this game at this point. Less than 40 villagers, but this is still doing a lot of damage. I mean, military numbers, right? 100 to 50. Yeah, this starts to become the issue, though. There's quite a lot of eco out here for Tusky, and how do you actually deal with that without running into these demos? That was about 20 berserkers that just went down. But Oxygen's about to be at 0 eco units pretty soon here. Market goes down, huge. Yeah, this is okay. This should be the GG moment, I think. Rams are cleared up. So the push is going to be stopped here. There's still a decent amount of military on the field for Oxygen, but that's about all that's coming. And the GG is called. Tusky takes game 1. Sicilians. That was a crazy game, by the way. I just like to throw out there. That was a crazy game. Okie dokie, welcome in. Game 2, Tusky versus Oxygen. We are here on Immersion. I saw way too much of this map in... Was it Warlords that this map was all over the place? So I'm interested to see how it looks like here. We've got Berbers for Oxygen, and it's going to be the Woo for Tusky. Tusky, again, doing a really good job of delaying these castles. Camel does come out eventually to clear that up, though. And Astar is going to be, I guess, not cleared up. These things are too slow. Alright, so the Woo are a pretty good civ on this map in standard settings. I'm curious to see, I guess it's looking like He Guang is the unit, but against Berbers, that's probably not gonna cut it long term, but we'll see. Already adding in some barracks. I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna have to check the tech tree for the Woo a couple times in here. Why does this look like they missed the middle upgrade for Rams? That's weird, okay. Berbers, great civ in pretty much any game mode. They've got the really good camels. They've got camel archers, which are a crazy good sort of death ball unit if you can get a bunch of them out. They've got pretty good navy. Just kind of an all-around solid civ are the Berbers. Their eco is quite good late game as well. We do have the Lu Xuan here for Tusky, though. I'll be honest, I'm not 100% sold on these things. A lot of people swear they're the best thing in the game. They seem, well, okay. They seem okay. The arrows are cool, I guess. Having those instead of just random cannon galleons. So I suppose on this map in particular, it's probably pretty nice, right? They're certainly getting their snipes in. So it's Cavalier switch for Oxygen. Why are we switching Cavalier? Okay. I guess Cavalier do slightly better against I mean, they do better against Halb than Camel, I suppose. Is that the best thing we can be making against Halb, though? I don't know. Bunch of early TCs back here for Oxygen, although this one may be a little bit too close to the shoreline. Luchuan versus Camel Archers. I mean, it's okay. It's okay. I like taking the middle control from Tusky this early with the docks. I think that's a really good idea. If it can make up for... I really don't think these are very good units. I might be wrong. I might be wrong about that, but it feels like they're not the best unit in the world to me. Okay, TC denied down here by the Haiguang. That's nice at least. Villagers getting sniped at. The TC's forward this close to the ponds, probably not a great idea for Oxygen. So, spreading out around the back is probably a good idea. Camel Archers... starting to look quite a bit better versus the Luchuan. There's, right? It's only 175 HP, so if you get enough Camel Archers firing away, it doesn't really matter what their armor is. Galleons instead of Luchuans. Honestly, yeah. I think that probably would have been better, in my opinion. The Luchuans are great for actually sniping this stuff, right? But... and they're not terrible against the units. But, I don't know. The issue is... they have nothing to do if you just kind of... okay, TC is denied again. That's not bad. This TC can just get obliterated. 6 Luchuans. Make short work of that. Another TC goes down. That one might have been deleted. I'm not sure how much HP it had. Oxygen is trying to find some space to breathe. Castle. One villager castle is never denied. It's too Chad of a move. They're never denied with one vill. It's always when you send like 6 to 8 vills. That's when they're always denied. The one vill castle, never. More docks for Tusky. I think this is probably how you have to play this map, right? If you can just get water control in all of these ponds, it gets tough. Camel Archers. They're going to win the fight, but I think that's a fight you will happily take if you're Tusky, right? That was a lot of dead Camel Archers. Okay, these Halbs don't actually want to fight. They're just out for a walk. And they get one hit. Alright, nice. Good job, guys. Bombard cannons. Okay, Luchuans do good against bombard cannons, so I'll keep that in mind. The Luchuans do very good against bombard cannons. Fair enough. The Haiguang, finding some raiding damage around the back of Oxygen's base. Oxygen is getting onto water on the outside, which is... well, there is a dock up here for Tusky, but nothing created on water yet on the outside for Tusky. Feels like that should be... I don't know, maybe there's more faith here in the Wu's like land military than I have. This is still fine. The fire archers look cool, I guess. I don't think they're particularly good at in unit versus unit combat, the fire archers. They're okay, but... Luchuans. Everywhere. Galleons filtering around the outside for Oxygen. I don't know how much damage they can really find. To be fair. Another TC is going to go down to the Luchuans. Feels like we're at a bit of an impasse here, where Tusky can't really fight on land anywhere. But Oxygen can't really deal with the water right now, right? So it's a bit of a stalemate. Yeah, the Haiguang, maybe not the play long term here against what the Berbers want to be making. Oxygen just desperately trying to get some eco up here, right? It is a win condition for Tusky if he just stops Oxygen from getting past any of these pawns. Eventually you can starve him out, I guess. I don't think of DM as playing for a wood game situation very often, but I'd be happy to be wrong about that. I'm a fan of a good wood game in regular games. Yeah, this TC is simply never happening for Oxygen. That's probably needs to be abandoned right now. What's the range like? Is it the same? 13 and 13, it is the same. Okay, Bombard Cannons also do okay against Luchuan, so it's a bit of a double counter here. Big fight up here. Oxygen really just has to get some resource control that's not in the south of the map. It simply has to happen. And this is the stand right here. Alb's kind of getting mowed down. Castle here from Tusky. I don't know about that one. Nice demo on the camels. Okay. It's a 1-Ville castle. Oh no, sorry, 2-Ville castle. And the rest are supervising. Haiguang. More and more Haiguang. They tank damage a little bit better than the Halbs. I almost think full Halb would just feel better. Yeah, it just doesn't work. It just does not work like that. The castle is denied. Should have just put the 1 villager on it, honestly. The 2 villagers was a throw. 1 villager castles always go up. The castle's denied. Second TC here from Oxygen. Tusky's still making vills out of this TC. And at least for now, looks like one pond here will actually be under Oxygen's control. More TCs up here, and suddenly we've got a... Actually, Oxygen, I think, has more land control now than Tusky does. And man, the KD is going to be really bad, it feels like, for Tusky by the end of this. It feels like it's just going to be really bad pretty soon. The Halbs just keep getting thrown into the Camel Archers. Castle's going to go down. So Castle didn't... Oh, actually... Castle completes, okay. It's gonna go down immediately. But that's fine, it goes up. Griffin in chat. Sorry that the lobby didn't have spectate on. Oh, it's fine. It's all good. Records were uploaded. Perfect. So we'll still get around... Right after this series, actually, we can get around to that. So, no harm, no foul. Demo on... Oh! It's okay. It was fine. I had higher hopes. But it was okay. Man, imagine, though. Get those demos out, man. Here we go. I think it's too late. It's simply too late. They needed to be out, like, 10 seconds ago. Man. 10 bombard cannons. Bunched up right in this, like, 2-tile gap. I'm trying to get better at being a hype caster here, but I'm gonna be honest. I'm not seeing any possible way Tusky can win this game. I don't think there's any unit the Wu can make that actually beats the Camel Archers straight up, right? I don't think Fire Archers do well at all. Wu don't even get the last armor for their skirms. It's just not pretty. Tusky trying to send Eco up north, but Oxygen is already up here and has full vision over this evacuation. There's still... I mean, Tusky's not dead. Still, the Eco is fine. Like, the base is only now being pushed, but I just don't see what you can even make. How good are Xian Swordsman in him? Maybe. They're kind of like Huskarl Light, right? So maybe they could do okay against this stuff. I don't know. My answer is I don't know. I think they would do better than what we're seeing here. I think they'd probably do better than the Fire Archers. Although, Fire Archers do shoot a lot of arrows, right? So they're doing okay against the Bombard Cannons. They are all dead now, though. Eco not looking super hot here for Tusky. Another castle might be denied here as well by Hussar this time. Eco numbers dropping down below 100 for Tusky. Okay, the Halbs arrived, so I guess the castle does go up. I don't know how much that castle is going to actually help this game out, though. Castle drop for Oxygen at the top, so say goodbye to this Eco. Actually, well, say goodbye to it anyway, because the Camel Archers have arrived. It's going to be a massacre. Oh, boy. Oh, jeez. The Lu Xuan simply have not been enough. I liked the idea. Like I said, I think controlling the water had to be the strategy in this Civ matchup especially, but man, they just have not done enough. Xian Swordsmen are not good because they have no further upgrades. True. Yeah, that's true. They don't get that much better in Imp, I guess, do they? I think it's over, guys. Okay, Lu Xuan's around the outside. I think this maybe needed to happen a little bit earlier. But it can still do well. It can clear up all these castles, production buildings, like this wood line, which is almost gone anyway. The issue is, how do you ever kill this as the Wu? How do you ever clear up 30 Camel Archers and a dozen Bombard Cannons? Not even 10 Bombard Cannons. People said immersion would only be about the middle pond. Only about the middle... Well, man. If you can at least contest land, I think it is probably a good idea, right? To sell out for water. The issue here for Tusky was there was never a time in this game, although... Wait a minute. Hold on a minute. That was a good fight. There was never a point in this game where Tusky ever could fight on land anywhere. Just because there aren't very many good options here, I think, for the Wu. This is not bad, though, for Tusky. That's a lot of Bombard Cannons dead. That's 8 Bombard Cannons dead. Maybe even the 9th. And there's nothing in queue for Oxygen. Okay. This Bombard Cannon's going to be saved. I think it's still fine. I think this is still okay. We're going champion. Okay. Fully upgraded champion. No, they don't get Gambesons. Which would be helpful here, actually. That'd be very helpful here. Fire Archers should do fine. Should they? Maybe. They certainly aren't going to do fine when there's only 12 of them against 44 elite Camel Archers. I can promise you that. Maybe if there needed to be more of them earlier. At this point, Oxygen's just going to throw Hussar into the Halb. Maybe not ideal, but man. Halb? Maybe just full Halb. At this point, maybe we just go full Halb. How do we feel about that? They're doing work. It feels like Halbs have gotten roughly 100% of Tusky's kills on land in this game. The Fire Archers sniped those bombard cannons. I think everything else has been Halbs. Lushuans have done a lot of work around the coastline, right? There are still Lushuans here as well. Can't really protect the mining camp, but can prevent Oxygen from getting out here at least. Halb rocket cart. True. Maybe that would have been okay. Rocket carts against what am I looking at? Is this a capture age thing, or do they not? They do get rocket carts, right? Even though it shows onager here. They also get the traction trebs, right? Wu does have onager. Okay. I mean, onager, honestly, maybe would not have been the worst thing in the world either, to be honest. At a certain point in this game, obviously now with the Hussar and everything, not good, but maybe there would have been an opportunity in here somewhere. Probably not, though, right? It's only onager, they don't get SO. To be fair, to me and Otter, the late game composition for the 3K civs is basically always traction trebs and then a unit. That's all they do. That's all they do in most games. So, I don't think I've ever seen Wu actually make a mangonel in a game before. Tusky's done a good job. I said Tusky was dead a long time ago. I think having the control over the outside water has done really good for Tusky, and then has just somehow managed to survive in the middle here. It's still a lot of camel archers, but the Halbs don't care. The Halbs just wade in. I don't know if there's enough Halbs here, though. 25? They're still... The champions are not going to get it done. Honestly, I don't think the champions... Well, if they can dive in here... Okay, that was actually the fire archers that sniped that bombard cannon. I don't think the champions are the way. Lushuan, okay. Killing 2 villagers with 1 shot, nice. They can still snipe stuff here, so the farms are going to get a little awkward. How are the resources looking for Tusky here is maybe the better question. There's 1 gold here. I think that's the only gold Tusky has available to take. Yeah, it is. That might... Although, to be fair, it's mostly Halb defense for Tusky right now. This is not the last castle Tusky has, but Fire Archer production isn't going to be amazing out of only 2. And the Fire Archers are the only thing here that can consistently snipe the siege from Oxygen. Nobody's gotten any relics yet, though I do see some monks in queue for Oxygen. Archery range. Forward. Genitors? Imagine Genitor gaming in my Age of Empires 2. It counters everything. Literally, it counters everything. We wait. Camel archers are dying to make more population space for Genitors, surely. Man, Oxygen just cannot push. Castle did go down, but man, it is a slow grind in here to get into Tusky's base. I guess at the end of the day, Oxygen doesn't really need to push. right? With the map control, doesn't... you can win without ever actually destroying anything in here, but... Tusky is playing so well. Truly. Really amazing. Like I said, I called... I didn't call GG for Tusky, but in my heart, I did. Like 20 in-game minutes ago, maybe? Alb are just kind of ripping here. No more gold for Oxygen either. There is some gold still available here, but not right now with the castle there. This castle will go down, though, and the resources are looking real rough for Tusky. Yeah, 19k wood in the bank for Oxygen still. Oh, what Tusky would give for 19,000 wood in the bank. Oxygen does take it. Great hold. Really, really good hold for Tusky, but just could not push out to get any resources here. Yeah, this is why I'm so iffy on the Lu Xuans, right? It seems like they should be a good unit. They're like naval bombard cannons that also can shoot arrows at land units, but it's just not enough. Good job by Oxygen, though, right? There was a moment in this game where Tusky had control over all of these pawns, and Oxygen was, like, unable to actually get out here. It was really these town centers that kind of saved the game for Oxygen. If Tusky somehow could have held out a little bit longer and prevented the expansion from Oxygen, this could have gone differently. More demos? I think more demos is always the way to go. Once you've lost a game, you have to sit with yourself, have a little self-introspection, and realize that more demos probably were the play. All right, welcome in Game 3. We're all tied up here. Oxygen versus Tusky. We are on Outcrop, and we've got the Georgians for Oxygen up against the Cumans for Tusky. Okay. Two very interesting civs. Cuman's not really known as a late game civ in random match 1v1s. Georgians have taken some hits, though, as a civilization recently. They still have amazing siege. They still have the towers, which can be really strong in late-game situations. Going to be Step Lancers for the Cumans. This is pretty fast. This is very fast. They're here very quickly. Oxygen is going to need to wall in some villagers here, and so far has done so really nicely. There's only a couple of holes at the front. Okay, a vill goes down. Albs in this tiny space should do pretty well, though. I don't think there's any way this castle can be denied anymore. And no, it cannot. All right, walls go up. A little sketchy for just a moment there for Oxygen, but plenty easy enough to wall in enough villagers. Step Husbandry tends to be Cuman's main play. Oh, I see. That makes sense. That does make sense. All right, so we've got Halb Manaspa versus Cuman Heavy Cavalry Archer and Elite Step Lancer. All right. Cumans do not have good Cav Archers for what it's worth. They don't get Bracer. I guess they get everything else, right? So maybe, I mean, Bracer is kind of a big deal, though. Elite Manaspa. Looking pretty dapper here. I like the gold flex kind of around. It's nice. For right now, I mean, 70 military to 10 is not a good ratio for Oxygen, right? Kind of crazy. That's the Cuman bonus, I suppose, for DM. They have denied a few castles. 3 castles went up. But I think all these castles will eventually complete. So we need siege. It's going to be forward siege rams from Tusky. There's 18 Manaspa and a single Halb on the field right now. I mean, this has to be it, right? If you push in here and take out these castles right now, you win the game. It feels like. And if you don't, I think things get much more difficult for the Cumans the longer this game goes on. Oxygen with TCs, also adding in archery ranges. I think just for the skirms? Hand cannons, maybe? I'm not sure. Manaspa are starting to reach critical mass, though. That military number getting very close to even, and the timing maybe was already missed. Manaspa are... If you can mass up this many Manaspa, they're going to do way better than anything the Cumans can make, I'm pretty sure. Maybe Paladin can do something, but I don't know, man. Manaspa has been nerfed. Manaspa are maybe the most nerfed unit in Age of Empires history. Could that possibly be true? Probably not. But it's got to be close. They've been nerfed a lot of different times, and they're still... If you can mass them up like this, they're still a devastating unit. Trebs are here, though. If there's any possibility that these Trebs can be protected... Tuville Castle... Again, you gotta either go 10 villagers or you gotta go 1 villager for these castles. The Tuville castles, man, they never work out. And there's Manaspa everywhere. The Trebs are all dead. The castle is denied. And where do we go from here as the Cumans? There's so many Manaspa. Didn't they nerf the production speed of these Manaspa? It feels like we went... I guess there's 5 castles, so that's a lot of castles. But man, it feels like we went from 0 to 80 real quick. Cav archers trying to kite the Manaspa around, which I suppose they can technically do. They are a little bit faster. The push is no more, though. All this stuff gets cleared up. The castle will have to be deleted or go down. This is a good fight, at least for Tusky, who is expanding the eco behind this, although these villagers apparently refuse to be farmers. Don't know what happened there. Manaspa running through your base. 54 Manaspa running through your base. The Rams are coming in at the front. Paladin, I don't know where these guys are going, but they're pathing through all of the military. And... this map is supposed to be about this... Yeah, I didn't talk about it, but Outcrop usually... You know, there's all the gold out here. We see Oxygen coming out here. They're kind of coming out on this side as well, but... This particular game just kind of felt like straight up Amazon tunnel map. Yeah, nobody likes onagers. That's true. I saw Georgians, I was like, you know. I saw Cumans and Georgians, I was like, okay, we're gonna see some SO, we're gonna see some... Nope, full cav. No siege, all cav. Lots of rams. There have been many rams in this set, which I don't mind. I think Tusky's dead. The rams are going to town. The Manaspa are killing everything. The eco is being decimated for Tusky. That's still that castle. I'm trying to figure out... I mean, it's 50 to 170 total population right now. Oxygen has double the score of Tusky. I think it might be over. I don't want to call it too early again. Tusky held out pretty well last time, but this one's over. GG. Oxygen goes up 2-1 in a very quick game on Outcrop. But I do understand now the Kuman pick. When I saw Kuman's picked, I was like, I don't fully get it, but having 80 military on the field versus 10 in the first few minutes of the game is actually quite good. I see that now. Here we are, game 4. Oxygen versus Tusky. We're here on Volcanic Island, which I have not seen this map in-game yet. Interesting. So, long-term, well, I guess not. Are these all supposed to be connected? Because these ones are not. Okay, I think these are supposed to all be connected. All right. Hussars, trying to be annoying. Not finding so much value this time, though. We've got Hindustanis for Tusky. It is the Spanish for Oxygen. Edges are always connected, but not along the sides. Edges are always connected to each other, but not along the sides. Okay, so this is the weird one then, is what you're saying. Or do you mean... Because this is walkable terrain, right? So you can still just walk out to them? Water being connected. Okay, yeah. That makes sense. So, Hindustanis doing Hindustani things. It is Imperial Camels flooding across the maps. And, well, Spanish are doing Spanish things as well. Conquistadors and Halbs coming out for Oxygen. This icon for the Elite Conquistador looks very fancy. I want to... How fancy do they look? The icon looks much fancier. You don't see Elite Conks very often in regular games, so I thought maybe they'd get some plumage or something. Sometimes an unconnected island happens. Okay. Probably doesn't really matter. Especially if it's these quote-unquote neutral corners, right? So, probably not a big deal either way. Super late game, I suppose. It can matter. Alright, well, we've got hand cannons and camels for the Hindustanis, who are plowing through their gold supply. Already down to 3,500 gold with this composition. It is a good composition, though. Hindustani HC and Imperial Camels is quite the composition. Nice snipe back here for Tusky, taking out a monk that was trying to yoink a relic early on. TCs on these little peninsulas. I like that a lot, actually. Do I? I said I like it a lot. I think so. It's on the stone. It's on the stone. That's about all you can do with these TCs, I guess. But it protects the stone, so fair enough. These Halbs are a problem, though. Camels are finding a good engagement against the Conquistadors. I mean, the KD is not going to be good for Oxygen here in the early going. It's simply not going to be good. But you just have to starve out the Hindustanis of gold. And things start to look a little bit better, which, I mean, there's no gold left. Quite a large queue for Tusky. But nothing in the bank. Okay, finally, it's still not SO, but we do have onagers coming out on the field for Tusky. Ooh, getting some decent shots in on the conks as well. Oxygen is dock averse. Really interesting. Nice shots with the onagers. Imagine if they were SO. It's true, though. Oxygen didn't make any... It was Oxygen that didn't make any docks in game 1, too, right? So that's interesting. Another good shot on the conks. They don't look as satisfying because the conks don't die in one shot to the onagers, but they do a lot of damage. Castle's trying to come up here for Oxygen. Those speedy Spanish builders. really helping out here. Oh! Well, they're not fast enough, it turns out. They're not speedy enough. It is a temporary Doubt Castle. It's right on this TC, so I can't imagine it will stay that way. But for now, it is a Doubt Castle. Trebs are already here. They can start working away. Here come more villagers. The castle will go up for oxygen. Ooh, a lot of onager goes down for Tusky. That's expensive, for sure. Tusky does have 40 of their 56 villagers on gold right now. How much gold is there on this map? For each player? 10k left on that side. It's not a ton. For Civlik, the Hindustanis that don't have a ton of great options in a post-gold game, it's not a ton. The push is going okay, though. This castle's going to go down for oxygen. This ram is not going to get an attack off. Some hand cannons going down. The Q is not what it once was for Tusky either. 50 hand cannons on the field, but only 11 in Q. Some Paladin being added in here now for oxygen. I think that's probably a good idea. These conks are just eating onager shots over and over again. Villagers rush out. These are Spanish villagers, so they actually kill an onager, despite being in the middle of 50 hand cannons. Supremacy Vills, no joke. Don't want to throw your hand cannons away for free against the castle. We have to back up a little bit. Only 4 trebs. It's not a ton. But they're doing the work done. They're getting the work done. They're doing the work done, yeah. Also, quite a bit of gold denied here for oxygen. Or at least it should be. Oxygen seems to think this gold is still available to take, but I'm not quite so sure about that. TC's around the middle now for both players. More TC's on the outside, so it's going to be stone for days for oxygen. Lots of stone. I don't know what else there's going to be. Here come the Paladin. I don't believe Tusky was aware these were being masked up. They sniped down all of the siege. Do you dive on the hand cannons underneath 2 castles? The last Treb? I guess you do. Hand cannons trying to find space in the castles. There are so many hand cannons they cannot fit inside both castles. And yeah, this is... Oh, the machine gun castles mowing down the conquistadors. I feel like hand cannons... just from a strictly logical perspective, should not add arrows to a castle. I'll just throw that out there. What if you fully garrison a castle with hand cannons, they turn into the, like, Persian citadel or whatever it's called? Imagine that. Oxygen is mixing up the avenue of attack here. Swinging all that army from the south up into the north now. Oh, the castle is denied, but don't worry, there's 2,000 gold still in the bank for oxygen. That's a lot of vills for Tusky. Trying to hand-to-hand combat these Paladin. Tusky is trying to get back into camels, but where are they? I don't actually know. They're all sitting down here with all the hand cannons. They probably need to come home, because the eco is getting obliterated for Tusky. This counterattack has been so good for oxygen. That was a Giga Brain play. Oh, but oxygen calls the GG. I mean, there's not a lot to answer here. I guess the military has gone down too far. It was a good try. It was a good try. A lot of eco went down there for Tusky in that counterattack, but wasn't quite enough. This has been a great set. I'm very happy that I decided to do this set. I'm very happy. This has been an absolute banger. All right, welcome in. Final game, Oxygen versus Tusky. We are here on Flooded Cross. It's been a long time since I saw Flooded Cross as well. You don't see this map as often as you once did. We've got Magyars for Oxygen. It is going to be the Vietnamese for Tusky. So, Magyars. This could be a good snipe, by the way. Be a little bit annoying here. Magyars, Cav Archers, Hussar, Magyar Hussar, Paladin. They've got a lot of really good options as a death ball. Villager Snipe, that's decent. Looks like Tusky wants Rattans, which makes a lot of sense. Vietnamese, Rattans, Halb, Siege. That's kind of their composition regardless of game mode. Rattans will do well against the Cav Archers. Halbs will do well against the Hussar. And Vietnamese have better siege, so that's the idea at least. That's the idea. We'll see if it works out that way. Oxygen is making a dock for the first time this game. Elephants as well, of course, for Vietnamese. Makes a lot of sense, actually. I always forget about those elephants. I always forget about those Vietnamese chonkers. It's not usually something you see with the Vietnamese in a standard game. But they're on their way. Vietnamese not making elephants. Don't worry. Don't worry, they're here. Rat and Halb, yeah, elephant's actually quite good against Magyars, probably, right? What do you make as the Magyars against elephants? I actually don't know. Halb, I guess, but that's only a soft counter kind of deal. Okay, these Paladin are not finding value. Have Archers. Sniping some Navy. So if you don't know this map, it's interconnected all the way around the outside. There's this river through the middle, and lots of fish in the corners. Fish booming. Nice. I don't see a fish boom in DM very often, so that's cool. You see the issue, though, right? Against the Cav Archers. Magyars want to be making those Cav Archers. This might be a game where you just don't make the Cav Archers. Is that ever true? Do you ever not make Cav Archers with the Magyars? They just don't feel good against anything here. I guess there are Halbs being mixed in, but the elephants soak so much damage, and obviously the Rattans are quote-unquote a counter unit. Good job swirling in with a few Paladin to deny these TCs. I like that. The mobility is certainly in the Magyar's favor in this matchup, so you've gotta use that to your advantage here. Treb goes down, that's nice. Elephants. They do eventually go down to the Cav Archers. We're reaching a decent amount of Cav Archer to where they can actually kind of get through the elephants. The Rattans soak damage. But not a ton of Rattans. Only, well, 3 castles in the back. Another castle forward. Docks in the middle for Tusky. I like that a lot. Where are the demos when we need them, though? They're not here. Trebuchet goes down. Just one, though. These elephants are feasting on the Halb and the... Is that Paladin or Hussar? I'm seeing both, I suppose. Another Trebuchet goes down. Cav Archers don't want to sit here and get wailed on by elephants, but it's hard to micro them back constantly. I'll tell you what, I would never go Cav Archer in a deathmatch game. I'm not a deathmatch player. There's 0 chance I would find any value with Cav Archers. They would just get wiped off the face of the earth immediately. I would never be able to keep track of these and actually micro them back all the time. Here come the Trebs for Tusky. Imagine some demos for Oxygen here. Imagine. There are docks. There are docks on the field for Oxygen. Like, 4 demos. Clear all the Trebs. All the Rattans. Man. They probably just get sniped by the Rattans, to be honest, but I can still dream. Castle's going down here for Oxygen. Elephants don't want to get caught in choke points against Halb with the Cav Archers behind. Rattans are coming in. Rattans say there's nothing here that I fear. And they simply sit here and start killing things. Now they are eventually going to die, but man, they are getting some good value in here actually. Production buildings going down to the trebuchets while this fight is happening. And 60 Rattan archers on the field. What do Magyars have against Rattan archers either? I said what do they have against elephants? What do they have against Rattans? I have no idea actually. They don't get SO. They don't get bombard cannons. They get scorpions, I guess. TCs are being pushed now by Tusky. Here come the Magyar Hussar. I mean, anything is going to die in one hit to this many Rattans. They're coming in for the Trebs, though. They get 1. They get 2. 3. 4. That's not bad. That's not bad. A lot of Magyar Hussar gave their lives for that push. I don't think it matters. It's 112 military to 20. Oh boy. Villagers are dying. Oxygen made docks, but I don't think made a single naval unit besides the fishing ships. And it's 85 Rattan archers. Even without SO, you would still make Onager. Yeah, I think you have to, right? They get siege engineers, so they can still, you know, kind of do some stuff against the Rattans. It's pretty much all you have against the Rattans, I think. Unless you really, like, can get 50 scorpions on the field, which I don't think is generally the idea in deathmatch, probably. Oxygen, he's not giving up. Fish booming again, re-booming on water. The entire base is getting wiped off the face of the earth, but we're getting more fishing ships out. It's over. It's done. Tusky takes it 3-2 over Oxygen. Amazing set, honestly. Really, really good set. Every single game was fun. Every single game was fun.